how to get tickets. And then introduce Claire real fast, and Claire maybe say, you know, why you enjoyed the show, and that'll be kind of it.
Okay.
And then Claudia will, you know, God willing, cover more of what you do longer. It's just kind of short notice. Yeah, so can you hear me, Richard?
Yes, go ahead, Elizabeth.
So I'm just like, I don't know. It's like, you know, you hit a certain age and everything goes, we're not on the air, so I can say everything goes to shit. So I had yesterday a root canal in this back molar. So this whole, they had to kind of like prop the jaw. It's just so painful. It's like, oh God.
Well, I've got dental work I'm going to have done here soon myself. I have that crown with a post that I've actually, I kid you not, secured with super glue because right now I haven't been able to get to the dentist.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think that's the problem is a lot of people were like, hey, you know, I'm going to put this off this year.
Right.
So, you know, and, you know, last week I had these 3 teeth extracted in the back. So it's like, okay, so this side, this yesterday, that side last week. So God willing, it'll all.
Well, you look good for just having gone through that, Elizabeth.
Actually, the way you're supposed to say that is, Elizabeth, you look marvelous.
Now, well.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well, it's like, okay, you know, I have to, the hard thing is that it's like, you know, that they're like, well, of course, you know, you're of a certain age. So, you know, everybody your age has a little denture or something. It's like, no.
Well,
I don't want to
you
be
know,
that.
as long, what I am hoping, Elizabeth, and I don't know if I've shared this with you or not, but my program, Tell Me Your Story, may turn into a television travel show aired on the local ABC affiliate here in Santa Barbara. We're in discussions, or at least Jeremiah Higgins, who is kind of my lead man, as it were, the production company that is looking at doing this. Are you ready for this? You know my program, Tell Me Your Story,
Yeah,
New Paradigms for a New World. Guess what the name of the production company is? Paradigm Productions.
Oh, cool. Well, that would
So we're looking at it being a travel show. I will travel over California doing 6 shows for the first season. And I will still be doing my typical interview, but I have to make sure that the guest has some cinematic, if you will, opportunities for you know, filming and so forth. And so I'm thinking the first place will be up north of Nevada City. We went to Ananda Village, and it's a spectacular place with a shrine to the founder, Swami Kriyananda, who I interviewed a couple of times. We even went up there. And so anyways, it gives me the opening for the dream of taking the show on the road and interviewing people all over the world in person.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I'm hoping, you know, maybe first of the year we might be, or even in December, we may do the first 6 shows traveling to 6 different places in California.
Well, I think.
All right, stand by, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Here we go.
This is The Artist's Response with Elizabeth Stewart, and you're welcome to join us. Please stay tuned for a program produced by Richard Dugan and researched and presented by Elizabeth Stewart, who welcomes the great artists of our community. What follows is a conversation of an artist's experience about the artist's response to trying times, creativity, reinvention, recovery, and of course, flexibility, which is in fact the
3,
narrative
2,
of our present.
1, you're live.
Hello, 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 Santa Barbara. It's your chantress of everything valuable and beautiful, Elizabeth Stewart. And you know, I love, Richard, to support local theater. And one of our great playwrights, local playwrights, Claudia McGarry, is mounting a production It's sort of a pop-up production. And I thought for 5 minutes or so at the beginning of the show, let's ask Claudia about the production. Claire Waterhouse is here, who's her lead in the production. So Claire, tell me about the show.
Thanks, Elizabeth. I'm thrilled to be a part of Claudia's play. She's such a wonderful writer. This was her first play, Kiddo and Patty Hearst, and it tells the story of Marta, who is dealing with the weight of the world, a father who's, having issues with alcoholism, and takes place in the 70s during the times when Patty Hearst was abducted. So there's a lot going on, and that she's dealing with as she takes those next steps into, she wants to become a writer like her father, and she's struggling with that. And she has, her mother's passed, and there's a lot she's trying to figure out how to, make it into the world and do her father right and make him proud. So, and Claudia writes characters so beautifully, and I think it's such a fascinating time period, and I think Marta is such a strong, admirable character. So it's a joy, and I'm honored to get to read and play the character of Marta.
And Claudia, tell me a little bit about how folks can get tickets and where the show's going to be, and just maybe one sentence or so. It sounds autobiographical to me.
Yeah, it's mostly autobiographical. It was my first play. I did it 5 years ago at Center Stage, and then it was at the Alcazar. It was in a little off-Broadway theater in New York. It was in LA. So I'm thrilled to just do a one-day. It's a reader's theater, but it's a wonderful group of all Santa Barbara actors, and it's going to be at the Namba Theater for Performing Arts in Ventura at 47 South Oak Street on Sunday at 2 p.m. And yeah, I'm just really excited, and I just appreciate you guys so much, because you let us all come on for Breaking the Code and These Complicated Women, and this is my 5th local production. And you've just been so good to me.
Thanks, Claudia. If people want to procure tickets, where do they go?
So it's www.nambaarts.com. Pretty simple, nambaarts.com. That's
okay.
Tickets.
Excellent.
It's one show. It's just the one show. It's actually my dad's birthday that week, so I wanted to just on a whim sentimentally pay tribute to him again. So.
And you got the production together really quickly.
Yeah, well, we have so many great actors, and they were out of work for a year and a half, and I just put an email out, and they all wanted to be a part of it. So it's fantastic.
I get it. And Claire, as far as you reading this part, what do you think is the biggest challenge in that role?
That's a great question. I think finding, there's so many ways that Marta's being pulled. Her best friend Steve is going through life-changing, he's struggling to tell people, and he hasn't told people that he's gay, and he's dealing with the pressure of that, and she's the only person who knows. She has these dreams of wanting to pursue a writing career like her father, and she feels like she can't tell her father. So I feel like finding that balance of, how to give a little bit to each person, but still keep her, strength.
Yeah.
And, she wants to just keep going and make everybody proud. So I think, there's the weight of that responsibility.
I got it. And one more time, Claudia, if folks want tickets, where do they? It's a performance is in Ventura.
Yeah, it's online, www.nambaarts.com, and it's right there, Kiddo and Patty Hearst. And
this is a live performance this Sunday.
Yeah, live performance at 2 p.m. on Sunday. All
okay.
Santa Barbara actors.
Well, thank you guys for being on. And hey, Richard, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's bring in the next gang, and we're staying in the theater genre, Claudia. We're going to introduce you to Mr. Justin Baldridge, who's the theater arts instructor at Santa Barbara Unified School District. And we've interviewed Justin before. He's absolutely fantastic, comes to us from Broadway. I mean, just the credentials that will blow your head off. But he's bringing his cast of Carrie the musical. And you think of Carrie? I mean, really, for high school kids, the musical, but it's, Stephen King's adaptation, and some wonderful performers, high school age performers. curated and coached by Justin, are going to join us in just a few seconds. A really exciting production. I was listening to a little bit of the music of the show. I mean, creeped out's not the word, but I know Justin's going to have a fantastic time with this show, and he's got a lot of chutzpah for bringing this show to High School Musical anyway. So let's go to quick break. Richard, we get back. Justin is going to introduce us to his cast of Carrie the Musical, produced by Santa Barbara High. Fantastic. I love this age group. Don't turn that down. Back in a minute.
It's gonna be a night we'll never forget. You ain't seen nothing yet. It's gonna be a night we'll never forget. These we'll see nothing yet. It's gonna be a night we'll never forget. These we'll see nothing yet. It's gonna be a night we'll never, no never, we'll never forget. A night we'll never forget.
You're clear.
Okay, now Justin, are you there? I see you there. Are we looking at the cast with you, or is it separate Zoom little squares? Is the cast with you?
No, they are all in the same room.
They're in
Yes,
the
they're in
same
the
room.
same room.
Okay. All right, excellent. So maybe you could introduce the show a little, why you chose it. I'm really intrigued to know why you chose it, and a little bit of the cast that is with you now. And congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. It's nice to actually be live again, if you will,
I
with an
bet.
audience in the theater. So, Carrie the Musical. What happened
Yeah.
was at the end of last year, because last year we were online for 3/4 of the year, I was unfamiliar with a lot of the students on campus and who's in the department because we were online. So I made a list of shows, about 14, that students could vote on. And this was actually the #1 show that students voted on. And if it was on the list, it meant I wanted to direct it. So, of course, I was ecstatic because it's a more dramatic musical. Myself, I'm a horror movie fan and a musical theater fan, so it kind of combines all my worlds together. And the students were very excited to do it as well. So with us, we have Bridget Devine, who is playing Carrie.
Hello.
We have Kosi Arthurs, who is playing Margaret White, Carrie's mother.
Hello.
And Hattie, I always mispronounce her last name.
Ugaretz.
Ugaretz, who's playing Sue Snell.
Hi.
And this, and the musical follows a lot of the script from the original 1976 movie, which is fantastic. And as a twist, it's all told from Sue's perspective.
All right,
It's a
stand
memory
by.
Station.
show. Did we lose you?
Hey, Richard, what happened?
Nothing. I'm playing the music.
Come on, come on.
Everybody is still there.
You're okay,
by.
Justin.
Stand by. Three, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. And Richard just showed us a little bit of the really interesting, powerful music from the show. And Justin Baldridge is here, who's the theater arts instructor at Santa Barbara High. And he's got his cast of Carrie the Musical. Just a shout out, Carrie the Musical is November 5th, 6th, 12th, and 13th at 7 p.m. And it's yay live. Justin's been handling the theater department virtually. And I've covered a number of his productions, that he's had Zoom productions. So Justin, a question for you. You've been directing Zoom, now you're directing live. Are you using any of the techniques you learned on Zoom, or are you just saying goodbye, good riddance?
Goodbye, good riddance. I'm not subtle about it. I did not like online teaching. I don't like online directing. I'm not a fan of it. It's nice to actually have them in the room, to actually interact with them. It really makes us move a lot faster, and it's a lot more engaging too, because everyone's present.
And then how did you find, I mean, your cast, they need to sing and move as well as act. Is it hard to find?
Well, I think that's the challenge of musical theater is to have the triple threat.
Yeah.
Because they need to be able to dance and sing and of course do the acting. Um, and this show is challenging because a lot of the leads don't do a lot of the dancing. It's all the ensemble that does the dancing. Um, in this show, particularly, the leads are really about the vocals and the acting. It's the acting that carries the bulk of the show. And then, of course, the ensemble has larger dance numbers, which we rehearse over and over. And we noticed talking with our choreographer, Gianna Burright, that because we had a year and a half online, there's a gap in the learning
Oh,
where
I
a lot
can.
of our freshmen and sophomores are still middle schoolers mentally because they missed a lot of that socialization. So we're trying to bridge the gap between them and the upperclassmen who have more theater training in their background. So it's this hard bridge that we're really trying to connect in the show. And I think we've done a nice, successful job at it too. Everyone's really stepped up.
Yeah, so I wanted to know, so your choice for Carrie, Bridget Devine, is Bridget still with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bridget, what's it like playing such a lead? Oh, what a beautiful girl you are. What's it like playing such a lead? And what I want to just ask is, the power of the director. In other words, maybe you come in with a certain idea of what you want to bring out of Carrie. How has Mr. Baldridge, guided you in this?
Yeah, we've had a lot of rehearsals, just bouncing back ideas and playing around with different things. Like some things worked, some things didn't. Because with Carrie, she's shy, she's more introverted, she's very socially awkward and timid. But you want to play the strength of the character, and I think that's something on stage that we've worked on is like you don't want to feel bad for yourself in the character. You want to play the strength and grow. And so I've just been trying to work on showing that aspect of Carrie instead of just playing like I'm shy and it's hard being me. That's not the point of this role. So that's been challenging but really rewarding seeing that come to life as my character. And it's a hard role to play because I've been working on trying to still be, I guess, entertaining when she's so shy, but that's not what's important. It's about being truthful and telling her story, and that's something that we've worked on a lot. But yeah, she's a hard character because of that, and then to have such a change at the end when she just really gets angry and
She rips, yeah, literally.
from there.
Justin, I wanted to ask you. You said that Sue is in the character that narrates the show. Am I right?
Correct, because she's the one sole survivor of the entire prom massacre that Carrie and Sue's on. That's what we call it, the prom massacre of Carrie. And so Sue is the one survivor. And so the play is told from inside her head, the torment that she has to live over and over about what could we have done differently to not.
Got it. And is Hattie there with you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Hattie, what I want to ask you is that when I was looking at the play, because I watched the play and I was okay, what intelligent thing can I bring out of this to ask you guys about? And the main overriding question I have is, it's a very interesting choice of I didn't know that it was students' choice on this, that Carrie was the choice. But, Mr. Baldridge has picked a show that to me is about female empowerment. And this is the era of female empowerment. And you're like the female that survived, that's narrating this whole prom massacre, but also the theatrical experience. So can you reflect a little on that? Am I right? Is it about?
I think that there's definitely some strong elements of female empowerment. I would say that the three of us here right now kind of represent the three strong female characters of the show, as well as Chris, or Lulu Marcetti, who plays Chris, who isn't here right now. But at least for my character, it's an interesting arc on the journey of female empowerment, because Sue starts off bullying Carrie and sort of representing the stereotype of like females against females and like wearing each other down, which is really disappointing to see, but also really realistic.
Yeah.
And I think it's important though to show how, despite the horrible like bloody murder and stuff that underlines the show, the really driving factor is Sue realizing that she's made that mistake of being so cruel and so mean to Carrie, and then trying to instead change that perspective and build her up instead. And unfortunately, it goes very terribly bad and doesn't work out for her, but I agree that it is that sort of female empowerment trying to make a difference in the show.
Do we have, is Kosi there as well, Mr. Baldridge?
Yes, she's right
Yeah.
here.
So Kosi, so you play Margaret.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And Margaret is the mother, right?
Yes, she is the mother of Carrie. Yes.
Okay. So I got to say that, I was joking with Mr. Baldridge, the interview we did before. I love high school musicals because I don't think I would have gotten through high school if there wasn't musicals to perform in. And I always got cast as older than I was.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what. I mean, I was the fairy godmother. I wasn't the princess. I was, in The Boyfriend, I was the elderly lady, and so, I mean, it's just like, okay, why? And I'm wondering, maybe Mr. Baldridge can reflect on this. Is there something in your character that reads you older than you are? I realize that you're a junior.
Yes, I definitely think that my physicality is very stern and smooth compared to the other characters in the show. I'm one of 3 adults in the show. The other 2 are teachers at school, and they definitely have like more sweet and teacher type sweet like and caring physicality, and I'm pretty sharp. And I think another thing that adds to my maturity is my costume is like a full-length dress. It's very high collared. I wear this like very like non-form fitting nightgown that like really does not show that I'm a teenager.
Yeah, matronly. And Mr. Baldridge, your choice of Kosi for the role. I mean, I guess I've got a dog in the fight here. I'm wondering what my directors at good old Deerfield High. I mean, what did you see in Kosi that you thought, okay, this is a more mature. I mean, this is a person that can play a more mature role. What did you see?
So it really comes down to, I think you just said it right now, she carries herself a lot higher than a lot of teenagers that like sink into their body. She naturally has a disposition of owning her space when she walks, and she has a natural maturity to her that not all high schoolers have. So I think it's like a personality thing. But then on the other side of it, her voice is a beautiful soprano voice. And the role of Margaret needs to have a beautiful soprano voice, because there are some super high notes where during the staging, I was like, okay, we got to make sure you have proper technique here because we know it's hard for you to hit these notes. Yeah. And so it was a big conversation and what's going to be easiest for you to support these notes because the register is so high. So there were lots of factors as well. But then it was also in the casting, who looks like a mother next to Bridget?
Yeah.
Because we have to have that mother-child dynamic. And because Kosi is taller, she has this really like statuesque figure on stage. And so in Eve Was Weak, the song where she pretty much throws her in the prayer closet, very similar like in the movie, there are these great moments where she can just like loom over Carrie and be this really big figure that makes it much more intense to watch from the audience perspective.
I see. And so I know we've got Bridget and Kosi and Hattie. And do we have Ben with us?
No, he's feeling a little under the weather today, so we're hoping he pulls through for our performance tonight.
Yeah, okay. Just a question for you. I've been hearing, I follow dance because, my background is in ballet. And so many of the dance companies, especially the ballet companies, are so electrified. They can't they didn't imagine the feeling they'd have being back on stage after almost 2 years. And they were carried away, many of them, by the appreciation of the crowd. I'm wondering, have you prepared your cast for that kind of reception? Do you think you'll get that kind of reception?
Well, I think they're ready for it because every night before the show, I go up and do a little curtain speech, and I acknowledge here we are finally. 18 months later, we're back in the theater, and the audience has a really good round of applause with a couple cheers here and there. And I'm hoping the actors backstage hear that, and I'm hoping that kind of hypes them up. Like,
Well, can you ask the kids? What do they think?
what do we think when we hear that applause?
It's like refreshing. It's like everybody is so excited to finally be seeing and witnessing theater for the first time in like almost 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like a really touching thing to hear that, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a nice, I mean, so often when you're on stage, there's like at least somewhat of a disconnect between you and the audience just because that's kind of how theater's set up. But I feel like part of having had such a long break without being on stage in front of actual people kind of takes that away a little bit, and you get to really feel like they're excited to be there, you're excited to be there, and it's just a great connection to have.
Yeah, it's really special. It's been really nice being back on the stage, and I missed it so much during the almost 2 years that we weren't doing it. I was pretty depressed and down, and I feel like the days that I get to perform, I'm just so much happier and feel more myself. So it's been really nice to be back on the stage.
That is so fantastic. And Justin, yeah. So I have to say, I was really excited to meet the cast here because I have, I'm an appraiser, and recently a client of mine brought a book to my attention, and lo and behold, it was Shakespeare's first folio.
Oh.
And so I've been just sunk into, and in that book, some of the determinants of authenticity, reality, have to do with all the edits that the actors made to Shakespeare's scenes, because there were two actors that put the first folio together, and then 5 editors. And the way that I've actually been able to kind of comb through authenticity issues is the way the actors have edited the parts of the various plays that deal with actual actors on stage. So I'm speaking of in specific, the play within the play in Hamlet. Mm-hmm. So the actors edited it down so much because added because the actors were so close to the stage itself. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm reflecting on that, thinking the experience of being on stage and being you, but transforming into somebody else is sort of an interesting metaphor right now for our time. And I was wondering if perhaps the choice of Carrie was some kind of deeper metaphor, like we got through this bloody time. And here we are back on stage. I mean, am I too far out on a limb on that?
I haven't thought of that, but that's a very lovely statement, though. I haven't thought of that, though, but that's a really lovely statement. I think the biggest thing to take out of this, which is sung in the very end of the show, is what does it cost to be kind? That's really the big focal point of this show. And you're talking about the edits. We had the lyricist, Dean Pitchford. He actually came in and spoke with the students and came to opening night because he lives here in Montecito. And he found out,
I didn't know that.
He found out we were doing the show through people. And then I found out that my neighbor is his Pilates teacher. This really random connection. And he came and talked with the kids. And he talked about the process of going from the 1988 flop into leaving it alone and then rewriting it in 2012 about how they missed the mark. They missed a lot of things and they rewrote it and they cut songs and they added songs in. And it's all about what does it cost to be kind? Once you see something, you can never take it back. Once you see, you can never forget, you can never go backwards. And I think that's something that really resonates in this new 2012 script.
That's amazing. Richard, isn't that cool?
Very cool. I think a great experience, not only for the actors, but for the audience as well.
Yeah, it's a great lesson in there. Well, I don't know, Mr. Baldridge, you're an inspiration. I know the cast is behind me when I say, thank you for bringing what you do to the community, to the kids. My gosh, the revitalization, being back on the boards after almost 2 years. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations on the show. Break a leg, and thank you for bringing the cast and coming along and telling us about Carrie the musical. And just very quickly, if people want to see it, there's just a couple of performances left. How do they get in touch?
Great. So our performances are Friday and Saturday at 7 o'clock and Sunday at 2 o'clock. You can buy tickets at sbhtheater with an re.com. Tickets are $10 for students and seniors, $15 general admission, and we have $25 reserve seats in the first 6 rows in the center. So
And you've been getting good crowds.
Decent, yeah. And we're hoping to really get nice large crowds this weekend, and people can still come to the door and purchase tickets at the door on the night of the event as well.
Okay, dear listener, did you hear that? Now, this is a way to get back into the theater in a safe manner. As I've been doing this interview with the cast and crew of Carrie the musical, it's been mask on and off, and it's really yes, Justin, you want to say something?
I needed to add, if you do come to the show, you must have proof of vaccination.
There you go.
Negative 72-hour test result. Masks must be worn inside the building. I just want to put it out there for people.
That's right. That's right. Very good. Well, congratulations, Mr. Baldridge, and I hope I get to speak to you again the next performance that you do. I love talking to you, and reconnects me with my nerdy high school days,
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate it over here.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. So a goodbye to Bridget, Cozy, and Hattie. And it's wonderful. I mean, 3 gorgeous females. I can't wait to see the show. I'm planning on seeing Sunday.
Great.
So yeah. So thank you all, and thank you, Mr. Baldridge. Good luck on the next 3 performances.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye. We're going to, Richard, go to quick break. When we get back, we're going to introduce a couple of mermaids to the show. Don't turn that down. Back in a minute.
All right, you're
quiet.
You're clear.
Thank you, Justin.
I'm someone you
Bye.
don't. Until he can spread his wings.
Sam.
Okay, there's Ralph. Hello, Greg. Okay, Ralph, you're on mute.
Okay.
There we go. Excellent. Okay, thank you, Greg.
You like that backdrop?
I love it. It's
So good to
beautiful.
see you.
Thank you. I was thinking, this is such an amazing thing. And the story in the Independent is wonderful. Maggie, I mean, she had a personal connection with the show, which is fantastic. And the cover. So yeah.
Perfect.
So we want to do a big shout out about the mermaid sighting and how folks can support the museum, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe Ralph could talk a little bit about how he was inspired to do this. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And I know you had various students that have gone on, but you're showing some of your students' work in the show. So maybe talk a little bit about some of the students, and I'd love to talk about how the models handled this experience. It's just a really interesting thing, a underwater photographer going in this direction is really interesting to me. I studied mythology at Pacifica, so I mean, this is just like, oh my God, this is
Perfect. Perfect for you.
talk about female empowerment and the sensuous yet threatening nature of the other,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in a nutshell there. So
Ralph is up to date on all of that. He knows the story of the models very well.
okay.
Right, Ralph?
Right.
Hey, Richard. Okay.
Yes, Elizabeth, we're
So
coming
we're
back.
coming back,
Yes,
and then we'll have the end to 11 o'clock.
Perfect.
you got it.
If you could see the way that you look to me, I bet that you'd be amazed at the sight. You'd see a heart that's fearless and true. From my point of view,
3, 2, 1, you're live.
you shine.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and this is just the coolest thing in the world. Gregor is here. He is the director of the Santa Barbara Maritime Museum. Ralph Clevenger is here, and I've had the privilege of speaking with Ralph on many occasions. And Ralph is a famous underwater photographer, also a diver and a biologist. He attended Brooks Institute of Photography. And when he was teaching, he thought, well, this is kind of an interesting thing. What if we went out to the channel where the waters are 70 degrees and below and brought gorgeous females and put tails on them, sunk them into the ocean, and then attempted to use our camera to film the world of the mermaid. And suffice to say, the museum has life-size, full body photos of mermaids on the wall now, thanks to Ralph and his students. And I think this is brilliant. It's fantasy, it's mythology, it's escapism, it's going into into another world after we've been sunk in reality here for 2 years. It's beautiful, it's sensuous, and this is just, it's front page news. So Ralph, how did you think of this?
Well, I can't take all the credit, but when I was teaching my course in underwater photography at Brooks, the industry kind of changed, and we got away from, like, people didn't have to scuba dive anymore. There was more accessibility to underwater cameras. So I had to come up with a change in the class from a natural history emphasis, which is what it was for many, many years, to a more commercial emphasis. And that meant that I had to bring models, because all of a sudden people commercially were shooting underwater products, underwater fashion, and underwater portraiture even. So I sort of changed the course and realized that I needed to bring, rather than the students photographing each other all the time, I needed to bring some models out on the boat. We would spend, class was taught once in the summer, and we would spend 5 days out on one of the Truth Aquatics boats out at the islands, and do nothing but underwater photography for 5 days. So I actually invited a couple of professional models, not mermaids, but models. And then one of my students said, well, I have a friend who's a professional mermaid and she has a tail. And I said, all right, let's bring her out too. And from that point on, over the next 5 or 6 years, I was inviting professional mermaids to come out, and they would bring their tails, and some of the students would get in the tails and model too. But that's how the whole mermaid modeling thing happened with the class.
So I have to just say that this is not like an amateur gentleman I'm speaking to. So Ralph has done shots for Fox Sports, University of California, the Denali National Park Wilderness Center, the National Marine Sanctuaries, Light and Motion Industries, and he's been featured in publications such as Audubon, Afar, Islands, Oceans, Nature's Best, National Geographic, Terre Sauvage, and the author of a book called Photographing Nature. So this is an accomplished career biologist, underwater photography. expert. And I guess what I'm asking is how, so you got professional mermaids, and they're on these boats with your students. How did you convince them that this was an academic, serious endeavor you were doing? I mean, how did you pull them out of? Because you're sort of you're straddling the world of fine art, commercial photography, and underwater photography. So there's 3 separate genres. And then you've got, I'm thinking, what kind of person is a professional mermaid, for example? I mean, were there long, serious conversations about what you were expecting, or did you just kind of pull the ripcord and let it go?
Well, most of the women I talked to who were professional mermaids, they know exactly what they're doing. They're making a living by pretending to be a real mermaid and really going in the water, whether it be giant aquarium tanks or lakes or the ocean, and doing everything from and pools and doing everything from little kids parties to full-on feature films. And so there's been a network of professional mermaids and mermen, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And so there's been this network around for a long time, since at least the 1940s. And over the last 10 years, it's sort of blossomed in a way that a lot of the mermaid groups are supporting the environmental issues with the ocean in terms of cleaning up and keeping it safe and all that. And so they're obviously appealing to young people, children especially, about keep the ocean clean so the mermaid has a place to live. So they do perpetuate the magic of this.
It's amazing. And the popularity of the mermaids, Under the Sea, the Little Mermaid, and the kind of psychic space the mermaid holds in the collective unconscious, if I dare say, it's pretty tenacious, the myth. Richard's giving us a sign we got to go to quick break. I wonder if maybe when we get back, Greg could tell us a little bit about the pieces that are hanging in the museum. I want him to talk about his favorite piece, not necessarily the most gorgeous woman, Greg, please, but your most favorite piece. Richard, let's go to quick break. I'm reintroducing Ralph Clevenger is here, underwater photographer par excellence, and his show, along with his students, Santa Barbara Maritime Museum presents Mermaids, Visualizing the Myth and Legends, photography by Ralph A. Clevenger and friends. And I'm also joined by Greg Gorga, who is director of the Maritime Museum. This wonderful show, it's just the perfect antidote to feeling trapped in your homes. If you can imagine swimming in the ocean with the tail, this is the show for you. Richard, let's go to quick break. We'll be back in a minute. Don't turn that down.
Under the sea, under the sea, I got it. 一匹のリズム、私のため。人間には砂さんを、みんなには粋なジャパン、粋なジャパン、いつもセッション素晴らしい。はは、乾いたさ、振り入れて素晴らしい。ワイルドに決めてハッピーだから最高。海の外、ここが最高。海の暮らし、アンダーのシー。
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kind of love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers, but you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org, a public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Are you ready to start and run your own successful business? Ready to grow your small business or home business? Women's Economic Ventures is a local nonprofit helping women start and build successful businesses. In addition to their highly successful self-employment training program, Weave offers services to help women succeed at every stage of their business, from startup and launch to building and sustaining a business, including individual business counseling, professional networking events, advanced business training, and small business loans to start or expand a business. Over 1,000 local businesses are now owned and operated by women who have taken part in programs and services. Whether you're ready to start up, launch, build, or sustain your business, Women's Economic Ventures is right here to help you make it happen. Call 965-6073 or visit weaveonline.org.
You got to do a short break.
It was Friday morn when we set sail. We were not far from the land. When the captain he spied a mermaid so fair with them comb and a glass in her hand. And the
3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. This is a fantastic idea. It's sort of I don't know where it came from, but it's a beautiful idea. The show is called Visualizing the Myths and Legends of Mermaids, and there's beautiful photography at the Santa Barbara Maritime Museum. Greg Gorga is here, the director, and I asked him to opine on his favorite shot. I asked him not to wax poetic about the beauty of the female, but perhaps we will learn something here. What do you think?
Sure. So before I tell you my favorite shot, and that's like picking a favorite child, I can tell you how this exhibit came about. So several years ago, I had the pleasure of going on a shark diving trip, great white shark cage diving with Ralph and his son. And about 3 years ago, we did an exhibit of his photos of great white sharks. And Ralph was doing a lecture that happened to fall on Valentine's Day. And a few days before, he called and said, Greg, I feel kind of bad talking about sharks on Valentine's Day. Can I throw in a few mermaid photos? And I'm like, sure, it's your lecture, do what you want. And so our audience loves to ask questions. And I'm thinking to myself, who doesn't want to know more about great white sharks? And about 80% of the questions that night were about the mermaids, to the point where the audience demanded that Ralph do this mermaid show. So I had no say in it. Emily Falk, our curator, really had no say in it, but she did do a great job getting it up on the walls, and it looks fantastic. There's so many great shots, but Ralph did one of a mermaid sleeping on kelp and rocks at the bottom of the water, and a swimmer would just come across, and I think that to me is just one of the great ones. And then I also want to mention that for your audience out there, if they would like to meet a mermaid and get a photo with a mermaid, we are doing that this Saturday, November 13th, from 11:30 to 12:30. You can get a photo with a mermaid. We'll have a mermaid sighting here in our harbor at 12:30, and then more photos from 1 to 2. So just go to our website, sbmm.org, and you too can get your photo with a lovely mermaid, and then come into the museum and see this wonderful exhibit.
I got to ask, obviously the mermaid's not going to be standing with her arm around your shoulder for the photo. How is that going to happen? Does the person getting their picture shot, do they have to be in the ocean to get the?
Well, so we're fortunate that mermaids can live out of the water for a little bit. So they will be up on our beautiful harbor front patio, and you can get right up next to them and get in a photo without even having to get wet.
And then very quickly, Greg, so this mermaid sighting, will there be just a lone mermaid, or will there be
I think she's going to bring a couple of friends. So I think there might be about 2 or 3 of these mermaids. They're all over the ocean, so they're hard to get together, but I think we're going to have 3 of them together here this Saturday. Yeah.
So do you call a bunch of mermaids a school?
That Ralph, do you know the answer to that? Because somebody else asked me that.
No, I don't think so, but I haven't read anywhere where they've named a group of mermaids.
Ah, yes, maybe a pod.
Or a
That'd be
gam?
closer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Richard's telling us we got to go to quick break. I'm interested to know more about the mermaid sighting, how people get tickets. I think this would be a great thing for kids, and a great way to support the museum. So maybe Greg can tell us a little more. Hey, Richard.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Let's go to quick break. So a mermaid sighting, are you down?
I'm down for it,
Okay.
By the way, are there mermen?
Well, there are mermen, but we were not able to find any for Saturday.
So
They're a
Richard,
bunch of
now's your
cowards.
opportunity. Where's your tail, Richard? Get out there.
Right.
I
Okay.
will pay to see that.
No. Okay, let's move it along to break.
Okay, go to break. When we come back, Greg Gorga and Ralph Clevenger, the wonderful show Santa Barbara Maritime Museum presents Mermaids, visualizing the myth and legends up at our museum now. And it'll be hanging till March 31st. But the cool thing why I wanted Greg on the show is because I wanted to talk a little bit about the mermaid sighting that's happening this Saturday. Great opportunity for the kids. Let's go to quick break. Don't turn that down.
All right, you're clear.
Under the sea.
Can't get
Ralph,
in all
do you have a
kinds of
tail for
trouble there,
Richard?
people.
I'm sorry, Greg. What'd you say?
Do you have an extra tail lying around for Richard? Can we get him in a merman outfit?
I don't have a tail hanging around, but
Oh, man. That would be awesome.
Knock it off.
Where are you, Richard? What is that building behind you?
That is
like I'm at the
actually the
Hobbit.
building is in Ireland, but it was moved from, I believe it was moved from Sweden. So obviously there's some Irish connection to this particular building.
Really? Wow. And is that like what is on that roof?
I believe it's like a thatch material.
Oh, okay. Wow. Pretty cool. Were you in? So that it's in Ireland now?
Yes, we were in Ireland, and what is it? Yeah, we were in Ireland back in 2002 and 2004, and I went ahead and took this picture. There's a picture of me standing underneath the arch there, and there's a picture of Amrita standing under there, but I got a distant shot as well.
Nice. Love it. Love Ireland. Can't wait to get back there.
So I read in Maggie's article that you can actually swim with a lot more power if you've got a tail on.
Yeah, that's right. They can swim much faster than a diver, even with fins.
So 2 to 3 times faster, right, Richard? Ralph?
Yeah. It's surprising how fast they can swim.
That's why sharks move so quickly. Man, they can move fast. They'll just appear right in front of you, or appear right in front of you, which is even scarier. Yep.
And how did the tail stay on?
Well, there's two kinds of tails. There's a silicone tail, which is obviously made in a mold, so it's plastic and rubbery. And that's a one-piece tail. So it's not easy to get into. They have to, put oil in there and slip in, and then their feet go into a little pocket.
All right, we're coming back. This is a shorter segment, 4 minutes, and we're starting in 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. And all these songs I picked up, they're sea shanties having to do with the sightings of mermaids. And we're going to have our own Santa Barbara mermaid sighting this Saturday. You can go to the actual Maritime Museum and view a mermaid sighting, a real live mermaid sighting. There's going to be a pod school group, perhaps, of mermaid photo opportunities, and that'll be from 11:30 to 12:30 and 1 to 2 p.m. There's a little fee, but a fantastic opportunity. Bring the kids. Greg, tell us a little more about the mermaid sighting.
Yeah, so if you go on our website at sbmm.org or just show up day of the event, I think we can't guarantee day of the event, but I think we'll have some extra spots if you just show up the day of. So 11:30 to 12:30 is photographs. You get your photograph right there immediately. 12:30 to 1, they'll have a sighting out in the harbor, and then more photos from 1 to 2. So sbmm.org. It's right on our website. It's $30 for the general public and $10 for our members. So you sign up for a membership, you get free admission for a year, and you get a discount on the photos.
Ralph, just very quickly, the biggest challenge in shooting models dressed as mermaids, what was the biggest challenge?
Well, underwater, everything's moving, right? The water, we would go into shallow areas. The water was a little warmer, a little more comfortable. And so the waves are moving everything. And so, of course, the mermaid's moving, her hair is moving. She's having to stabilize herself for a short period of time. You're moving as the photographer. So to try and make all that work takes repeated efforts. So I think that's the biggest challenge is, hoping you get everything, the hands, the hair, the eyes, the mouth, everything perfect on the model and get it in focus and well lit.
And of course the eyes, they're open, but you can't see much if you're the mermaid, right?
Yeah. The mermaids, it's surprising how, well, I mean, sometimes I'd give them a mask and show them what I want to do. And then they would kind of have an idea about where they were supposed to go to pose and everything. But most of the time, they're just comfortable opening their eyes underwater and seeing, light and dark stuff because there's not much in focus.
All these photos are beautiful. And here again, if you want to take a look, and I do think you'll just be taken out of yourself, is the Santa Barbara Maritime Museum presents Mermaids Visualizing the Myth and Legend. It's hanging at our Maritime Museum now. And the cool news is this Saturday, a mermaid sighting. If you're a member, it's $10. It'll be around lunchtime. So you can get your photo taken at 11:30 till 12:30. And then from 1 to 2, you can stand on the deck and see mermaids in the ocean right in front of you. Fantastic. Greg, thank you. Ralph, thank you. Fantastic idea. Fantastic show. Can't wait to see a mermaid in the harbor.
Thank you. We hope to see you down here.
All right, you're clear. Very good.
Right.
Loved it.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Richard. Thanks, Ralph.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right, bye.